The human brain is capable of creating its own prison, a psychological cage built from our beliefs and habits. And what's fascinating is that 95% of what keeps us feeling stuck happens completely outside our conscious awareness.
That's such an intriguing perspective. And I imagine many listeners are nodding their heads right now, feeling that sense of being trapped in patterns they can't seem to break.
Well, here's what's really interesting. Most people immediately blame external circumstances for feeling stuck, but neuroscience tells us something completely different. The research shows it's actually our identity and self perception creating these limitations.
So you're saying our own minds are essentially working against us?
Not exactly against us, more like trying to protect us. The reticular activating system in our brain acts like a bouncer, only letting in information that matches our existing beliefs. If someone believes they're bad with money, their brain will literally filter out opportunities for financial growth.
That's fascinating. So our brain is actually creating a custom reality based on what we already believe about ourselves.
Precisely. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Studies show that our brains are actually addicted to familiarity. Research has found that when we stick to familiar patterns, even harmful ones, we get a small dopamine reward.
That would explain why breaking out of old patterns feels so uncomfortable, even when we know they're not serving us.
Exactly. And when we look at this from a quantum perspective, it becomes even more profound. The observer effect in quantum physics shows that reality isn't fixed. It's more like a field of infinite possibilities that collapses based on our expectations and observations.
How does that translate to our everyday experience, though?
Think of it this way. Research in neuroplasticity shows that our thoughts and beliefs literally create neural pathways in our brain. When we consistently think, I'm stuck, we're strengthening those neural connections that support that reality.
That reminds me of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work on how our thoughts create our biology. He found that repeated thought patterns actually create physical changes in our brain structure.
Yes, and this connects directly to the subconscious mind, which neuroscientists have found controls about 95% of our daily decisions and behaviors. These patterns were largely formed before age 7, when our brains were in a highly programmable theta state.
So what's the practical solution? How do we actually break free from these patterns?
Research shows that identity change is the most powerful catalyst. Studies have found that people who shift their self identity, for example, from smoker to non smoker, are significantly more successful at creating lasting change than those who rely on willpower alone.
That makes sense. But it seems like it would take more than just deciding to change your identity.
You're right. The second crucial step is deliberately seeking out discomfort. Studies on neuroplasticity show that new experiences, especially slightly uncomfortable ones, create new neural pathways. Something as simple as taking cold showers has been shown to increase resilience and adaptability.
I've actually been reading about that. The research on hormetic stress and its benefits for neural adaptation is pretty compelling.
And here's where it gets really practical. Studies show that embodied cognition, or physically acting as if you're already the person you want to become, creates faster neural changes than just thinking about it. It's about literally walking, talking, and making decisions, as your future self would.
So it's not just about changing our thoughts, but actually changing our physical behaviours too.
Exactly. And the research on implementation intention shows that people who plan specific actions, when, where, and how they'll do something, are 3 times more likely to follow through than those who just have good intentions.
That's a significant difference. What would you say to someone listening right now who feels completely trapped in their current situation?
The science shows us that feeling stuck is actually a neurological pattern, not a fixed reality. Every time you take even a small action toward change, you're literally rewiring your brain's neural pathways. It's not about massive transformation. It's about consistent small steps that gradually shift your brain's operating system.
That's really empowering. The idea that we're not actually stuck, we're just running old neural programs.
And that's the key insight. Understanding that feeling stuck isn't a prison sentence. It's simply feedback that you're ready to create new neural pathways. The power to change has been there all along. waiting to be activated through conscious choice and consistent action.